Welcome everybody to DOULA-LA, Intimate Conversations with the world's most well-known doulas. I'm your host Tanya Malcolm, and I'm so pleased to have with me today Miss Giuditta Tornetta. Hi Giuditta.
Hi Tanya, so great to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, I'm going to tell the folks a little bit more about you, and then we can get into our intimate conversation. Okay. Miss Giuditta Tornetta is a certified birth and postpartum doula, lactation educator, a certified clinical hypnotherapist. Giuditta is also a published author of the best-selling book Painless Childbirth, An Empowering Journey Through Pregnancy and Birth. She also hosts Loving the Mother retreats with Ibu Robin Lim all around the world. You can learn more about Giuditta Tornetta at joyinbirthing.com. Thank you.
Yes.
So, it's World Doula Week. Happy World Doula Week.
Thank you. It's so good to have a whole week for us to celebrate ourselves. I love that.
Yeah, me too. And I've said before in one of my other interviews, it seems to always sneak up on me. So this year I finally had to, I was like, I want to celebrate big, and then it always seems, it's like, oh, it's World Doula Week, and this year I finally got together to celebrate us. So that's so the DOULA-LA in celebration of our week. So thanks again for being a part of it. And I just want to start with your journey to being a birth professional. Can you tell us how you came into this work?
Yeah, there are sort of multiple layers of the story, but the quick version is I was doing other work. I was actually a television director and producer, and I had finished a 5-year stint with a company, and I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. And I always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to write a book about my birthing experience because my daughter was born painlessly. Now, granted, it was a 3-hour birth. It was the second baby. So, I never say that everybody can have a painless childbirth, but I did. And most people always talk about how painful it is and how horrible it is and all of that. And even without being a doula or knowing anything, I thought, somebody has to share the fact that some of us have had a wonderful, natural, painless childbirth. So it's always been in the back of my mind. Yeah. However, I thought I could never make money with a book or anything like that. And I was a television director and producer. But anyway, I was looking for a job. And I was getting pretty mad, I would say, with the universe. And I went boogie boarding. And I was having it out with my higher powers, actually, I consider her a woman. I would say, I got 2 kids. I need to work. What the heck is going on? And I received this message that was very, very clear that said, do whatever the next person tells you to do. And I was like, whoa. I accepted the challenge, which was pretty intense. And I remember getting back to the beach, walking around, and I met this random woman that I really didn't know well, but we started talking, and I told her, that I was looking for a job, and she looked at me straight in the eyes, and she said, there's a lactation education workshop at UCLA downtown starting next week, and you'd be perfect. And I went, what? I went home, I went on the computer, and I literally said, God, do you remember how much I used to make? This does not look like it's going to support my lifestyle. But I challenged my higher power and I went, okay. I took my little $1,000 and I went to take this course, which was 8 hours a day for 5 days talking about breastfeeding. And I thought, wow, but the beauty of it is that in there I met a doula. Okay. And I realized that I could actually be at a birth and really develop this book, and it was just perfect. And of course, my very first birth was horrible. It was a teenage woman that ended up with a C-section because the doctor was upset that all her teenager girlfriends were there helping to push, with me just going, yeah, let's get together, all the women. I've learned a lot. And when I went to the parking lot going, okay, I'm doing what you want. What's going on? And I think that's the best lesson that I've ever learned. I heard this very strong voice and said, you know what? It's not about you. And I still get goosebumps when I tell that story. And from that moment on, I just really fell in love. I fell in love with this job, not because it's only about having the amazing honor to be at the best moment in a couple's life or in a woman's life. I mean, what a gift to be there when the baby's first breath is incredible, but also because it's about empowering women. And I dedicate my life to empowering women, finding their voice, harnessing their womb power. That's really the biggest picture, as well as ushering babies born in a welcome world, which is recently not so common.
Yeah. That's so amazing. That's a really, really cool journey.
It's a crazy story, but it's my story.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, I don't think it's crazy at all. I think it's magical. It's great.
Yeah.
So can you give us a little time frame? Like how long
So that was 2001, 2002.
Okay. Cool.
And I come from a marketing background, because I was marketing for 15 years, and then I became a director and a producer. And I felt almost like all the jobs that I had before, where it was a conspiring for me to have the skills to do this job and be able to make a living out of it.
Wow.
So I became a full-time doula within that first year. I also trained as a postpartum, because it was very important for me to take the family through the entire arc. People have so much information given to them and receiving and website and all of that it's just really hard to navigate. And so by doing both birth and postpartum, I feel like I can offer that consistency of care, that it's not about my opinion, it's not about what I think it's best, that's not what I want to do, but it's like bringing the same information, sort of like in the same format almost, after I understood what kind of people they are. Then I bring in the information so they can make the choice.
Yeah. That's a really good format. Like, for lack of a better word, right? So.
Right. It's you just become this one source. And it's not the only source, but it's a sort of like a consistent source, which I think it makes you feel less lost in the world of information,
Yeah. Yeah, we're like the sounding board, right?
Yeah. Totally.
I know so many clients are like always starting their texts off with like, sorry to bug you again. And it's like, you're not bugging me yet. This is
exactly. Totally. And it's also a place to be able to have somebody says, yes, you want an epidural? Yes. You want a natural childbirth? Yes. You decided to schedule a cesarean? Wow. Yes. Let me just give you some information and let's together find out where your choices are coming from. Are they coming from informed consent? Information? Are they coming from fear? Are they coming from something in the past? Let me just be there to hold the space for you to do what you want. Not what I want, not what your doctor wants, not what the neighbor wants, your best girlfriend, And it's taken me a long time to get to that point. I have to admit, as a first newbie doula, I wanted everybody to have a painless childbirth at home, like I did. And I have compassion for that little new doula that wanted to save the world. But I think I've learned a lot, and I've come into my own acceptance, you know?
Yeah. It's really, I mean, I think it's really important for new doulas on the call to be getting all this information. Like if I had heard everything you've just said to me 10 years ago, I think, well, I mean, it wouldn't be my journey then, right? Like I don't want to dismiss the journey that has led me to where I am now, because I'm proud of where I am now. Yeah. But like you learn. That's what, like, I keep saying to the other doulas in my community, who are a bit newer, it's like you're gonna learn the most by being with women. It's not in a book. You know, all of those little miracles that give you those little cues that need a little shift or whatever it is. You know, the smells, the sounds. Like it's not in a book. It's not in a course, right?
No,
like
it's definitely
if it was, I would be telling it.
Yeah, it's a journey, you know, it's a journey. And and again, if you look at the big picture, it's not just about the birth, because every birth is a birth. Even a cesarean birth is a birth, you know. It's about allowing the women to do and be who they want to be and have the choices they want, regardless of anybody's idea. So I think that when I came out of the doula training that I did, I was so gung-ho about natural childbirth. And it's not that I'm not very gung-ho about it in my other hat, the activist hat, you know? But in service to women, I am gung-ho about a woman choosing her own path and me supporting, holding the space for her for whatever choice she makes. So I think that that's the biggest difference, I think, from my early journey to my journey of today.
I used to say, like, a woman's birth experience, and I don't just mean birth, like, so prenatal through to postpartum, right? That whole journey lays the foundation for her journey to motherhood, right? So it's like when we learn in this prenatal period to make those choices from a really heartfelt place, it's like that's just the beginning of making choices from a heartfelt place, right? like how, like, you learn that now, and it's like, oh, it's gonna make your journey through motherhood so much easier to just be like, no, that feels right here, you know? Like it's not like I'm not making this choice for my child from like a limiting belief system or a fear. It's like, you know, I'm empowered to learn and grow and make a choice that I feel comfortable with, right? For me.
It's a real rite of passage. You're going from being a woman into holding a new life in your belly and becoming a mother, you know, even before you give birth. And you know, that's one of the things that came up when writing about my book, Painless Childbirth. It wasn't about just talking about how am I going to have less pain during labor. It was like, wait a second, you're pregnant. Let's start talking about how do we prepare ourselves spiritually, physically, emotionally, psychologically. How do we prepare ourselves for this incredible journey that you will never be the same person again? First. And second of all, how do we, you know, as mothers, we teach by example, right? More than anything else. So how do we, by having this transformation, teach the baby almost at a cellular level how to take care of yourself, how to let go of limiting belief system, how to let go of fears, standing on your own rights, to have your feelings, to speak the words that you that you deserve to speak, to have the vision. You know, I work with the chakras, so I'm going through the chakras right now, but to have the vision that you have. You know, so many of us are afraid of our feelings, or, you know, we don't talk about it, or, you know, we hate the doctor but don't really speak our own heart to them, you know. And I think that this is you have 9 months where you can focus on becoming the better you. What a great opportunity, you know? What a great, great opportunity. And what a great opportunity for a human being to come into this world and to live into this oxytocin-filled environment that is your belly. you know, and grow with much more peace.
Yeah. And when doulas really come forward and share this information, it's the same for doulas. We teach by influencing, right? So we can't be sharing all of this goodness and then not walking in that same path. And so, you know, we have to make choices for ourselves that come from this heartfelt, confident, and this place of wisdom and knowledge, not blindly walking around and saying yes, yes, right? Those yeses that we were talking about in the beginning are heartfelt yeses, right? They're not just I want to be your doula yeses, right?
Yes. I mean, you know, the greatest teachers are certainly the clients. I mean, those moms have taught me so much about myself and about my belief system, about communication, about what I say and how it's heard. You know, sometimes I say something that I think, you know, A and B is important, but somebody is focusing on C, you know, and how do I make so that the communication is clearer. And also they really taught me humility. You know, I come from a background of being an executive producer and a director with a lot of people doing what I wanted to do. And when I entered into a hospital with a doctor, I have to go, whoa, you know, or even nurse. I want to step back and let that relationship develop and then come in and just inspire love and friendship, you know? And again, it was a real development for me as a doula, also because 15 years ago you enter into a hospital and God, everybody hated you. And now we're really leaps and bounds where nurses are welcoming me, doctors are very happy that I'm there. And that was just like a beautiful transformation that the whole community went through, you know? And of course, we all hope that this will infuse the world. And there will be, you know, because right now we're talking about 3 or 4 hospitals in LA, certainly not all the hospitals. So just infuse this loving message that we're here for the baby, we're here for the mom, we're here to fulfill one of the most beautiful times of a woman's life. And it's not technical, it's not medical, unless it is. And it's just, it's beautiful. You know, I started singing at births, and I encourage my clients to sing to the baby when the baby is born. And it just changes the mood. You know, doctors, nurses, they just stop doing that little, you know, chatter, what did you do yesterday, or gossip about other people. You know, they just like come into the sacredness of the moment by hearing the mother singing to her child. You know, it's so beautiful. Oh my God, so we have the greatest job in the world.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you took the conversation into the birth room, because I really want to talk about, you know, some of your more intimate moments, or something that comes to you when you think of like the birth room that is powerful for you, that you can maybe share with our audience.
Yeah, you know, I've had for years now, when I was pregnant with my children, I created this birth song that I sang to my children. I took a popular song. I think with my daughter, I took Whistle While You Work, in Italian now. And with my son, a very popular song with his name on it. And I sang it throughout the pregnancy, and I sang it at birth. And, you know, my children, one is 31, one is going to be 32 in a couple of days. And I sang it when they were toddlers. I sang them when their first heartbreak, and I still sing it to them right now.
Aww.
I really try to instill and inspire my clients to create this song. And as I said, I think that the most powerful moment that I've ever had in a birthing room is when that baby is born and there is that magic where there is that communication, you know, what they call the golden hour. But the mother and the father are singing and everybody's kind of in awe. And that is true magic. I think the other thing that it just really blows my mind away is when you get a woman that is going, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Oh my God, I can't. Where you just get her to say, let's take a breath together. Let's do it together. It feels almost like you're reaching your hand out and she's holding your hand and you're going through this waves together. It's so magical. It's so special. So it's not just the birth, which is incredible and magical. It's really that sisterhood that you can come together with a total stranger and go so high at a spiritual moment, at the highest point of height in a woman's life, and you have the privilege to be there, you know, and then you kind of step back, let them have that moment. Yeah. It's unbelievable, you know. Recently, believe it or not, one of the most amazing experiences recently was a cesarean birth, because I was allowed in the OR, which was wonderful. Yeah. And, you know, the mother's freaking out because she was trying to get a VBAC and it didn't happen. The husband was freaking out for the same reason. And I was able to say to her, you know, you're gonna start feeling a lot of pressure on your belly. Close your eyes and just be present, because that's when you're giving birth to your baby, you know? And I don't know what it came from, but boy, am I glad I said that. Because
I'm glad you said that too.
It was cesarean. You feel like you don't even are present. Somebody else is giving birth, you know, but you can actually connect it. And then as soon as the baby was born, we started singing, you know, together. We all started singing, and it was incredible. It was magical, and it was a cesarean. Yeah. So it just doesn't matter the outcome or the way you get there. It just, magic is there all the time, all the time.
Oh, thank you for saying that. So true. And there's such huge shifts happening in the OR rooms around the world, right? Yes. Like, yeah. I mean, yeah. And I know we still have a lot of work to do, but I'm supporting mothers who aren't separated from their babies and they're coming back to the maternity ward together, you know, versus when I first started, like, scared dad would come out of OR and it would be so long, you know, and that was a real trigger for me. And I've kind of learned that over my own course, is the separation of mother and baby, and I'm adopted. So it wasn't until I explored that further that was, you know, that triggers trauma in me, that separation. Wow. So I back in the day, I was practically unable to even cope watching that baby, that infant, be with his father, even though now I'm just, you know, well, mostly I try to keep them together, but if it's just dad and baby, I'm totally clear to be able to just support that and say, this is magic too, right? And mom's coming, and let's, you know, establish this bond with the skin to skin with dad. But like, man, how cool is it right now that mothers and babies are staying together in OR? Like, you know, and it's possible, right? So yeah, if you're a doula and you're not seeing that in where you're working, you know, we definitely zero separation of mother and baby, even with cesarean. So yeah, let's start fostering that to happen a lot more too, right? So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, cool. So then the other, I'm kind of glad I got talking about that, because that was powerful for me. That's definitely a defining moment for myself, where I learned like my own triggers because we all have triggers, as like Gina Kirby said, we're the first intervention, right? Because depending on how you practice, we can be, right? So she said, so like talking about like powerful shifts that protect you from that, right? So that you're always going to be that light worker, right? For the mother. So is there a moment in your doula career where you really, you know, had a shift or like some wisdom came to you that you recognized that was very, where you stood in your power as a doula, you know, like something that came to you that is like, I'm the doula, you know, that really sort of connected you with that role, like where you could identify
so question. Much. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever really had a moment where I said, I'm the doula. I have to say that the moment the most similar thing that I can think of to answer your question is that I feel very often that there is this sort of wisdom channeled. So it's actually the opposite. I've had many, many moments where I disappeared and this stuff comes out of my mind, my mouth, and I go, whoa, that was incredible. Or, you know, I'm not saying that I'm incredible. You know what I'm saying? It's like this was like it was the right thing to say. And I am even surprised that I said it. You know, I remember I had a birth with Robin. I never forget. And she does. And she tells this story a lot. It was the very first birth I ever did with Robin Lim. And we met on Facebook. Crazy. And we just had this incredible connection. And we went to do this incredible birth, a beautiful birth in Bali. And the woman was doing good, but her blood pressure started climbing, you know. And I remember Robin coming to me about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and said, get yourself ready. We're doing a hospital transport. Because her blood pressure is too high and it's just not safe. And I said, I was in Bali and I thought, well, I'm sorry for the woman, but whoa, I'm going to see a Polynesian hospital. It's going to be an interesting experience. I'm open for anything. And she went back to the laboring woman and the woman said to Robin, looked at her and she says, oh my God, I'm so glad we are at home because I feel like if I was at the hospital right now, I would die. And Robin just went, okay. And she left the room and she came to me. She looked in my eyes and she said, you're a clinical hypnotherapist, right? And I said, yes. You have 5 minutes to get this woman's blood pressure down. And I went, okay.
No pressure.
Trust, you know, and I'm like, she has never seen me do any birth. She has never met me before. And I'm like, okay. And again, I was not the doula. I had been totally invested by this woman that trusted me 100%. I went in with this incredible intention.
Yeah. And
that blood pressure just went down. And throughout the birth, I was there just doing number 120. You're 120 over 75. That's it. 120 over 75. 25 over 70. Just like, all my job was to sit next to that woman and tell her the number of her blood pressure. And I swear to you, they were the same number that they measured as a blood pressure. And was that me, the doula? No. That was a miracle.
Yeah.
You know, this woman seriously had the blood pressure that was like really dangerous. So I think that the most wow moments is when I no longer exist.
Yeah. And
I'm a total channel for whatever it is that woman needs at that moment. And I don't exist. It's no skill of mine. It's not my skill. Yeah. You know, in that particular moment, I believe that Robin's trust in me was so foreign to me, you know, because I'm not somebody that I feel people, it's just my personal belief, you know. Her trust in me, complete, helped me channel the ability to really change that situation. You know, and there was another midwife and she was doing tapping. I wasn't the only one responsible for that change, but you know, those are the significant moments.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I dance and chant and I do crazy things in the birthing room and I have no idea where they came from. You know, it's totally like I don't exist.
I know,
you know?
I'm so glad you're talking about this because this is what we tell mothers all the time. As doulas, we say, get out of your analytical mind, right? Like, don't overthink it, right? But in the birth room, supporting and holding space, it's the same thing. Like, sometimes you're not present because you're just like, you want to do something, right? But no, you don't. No, don't do anything, right? We just need almost, I want to say, to ask for the guidance as well. It's a tool. Right? So when you're lost and you find yourself maybe in that more analytical state of being, you're bringing that energy into the birth room, which is like thinking energy, which doesn't belong in the birth room. So clear out, tap out, and ask for guidance. And then the words like you said, it's like a miracle. I was like, where did that wisdom come from?
Like, is that me? Wow.
You know, right?
Totally. It's we are part of a miracle. Therefore, the channeling, it's obvious if you open yourself to it. You know? It's it cannot but be a miracle. There is a child coming into this world. All the ancestors are present. Yeah. All you have to do is open up, and they'll come through, you know?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Cool. So I want to move into your work as a postpartum doula, because I haven't had a chance to talk about that too much. And being mindful of the time too. But, you know, was that always a part of your doula services, or did that grow through your journey, or?
Yeah, I think I became a postpartum doula maybe 1 year within my birth doula or so. Again, because I wanted to create that consistency. It is very important to me to follow a woman. It's almost like you have this incredible experience, you have this great chemistry, and then boom, you see her once and goodbye. It just didn't feel like, it felt so abandoned, because even like a woman that goes to the hospital, it's followed by all these people. And then she goes home and boom, everybody's going away, you know? Yeah. So I felt like sometimes the postpartum is even more important than birth itself. Yeah. You know, birth is like 1 day at the best for the first-time mother. But postpartum is 2 weeks where you go, oh my God, I don't know. And again, a million voices, a million suggestions, unwanted advice from people that have different ideas of what you want for yourself and for your child. So for me, the way I do postpartum, especially right now, is that I want to, I sell these kind of packages where I just spot check with the woman for up to 4 weeks. So every week they see me 4 or 5 hours, they text me or call me and all of that. But, they sort of gather all their questions and they check in with me. Because again, the postpartum that just happens for 1 week afterwards, that's kind of like almost easy time sometimes. It's like things start really hitting the fan on 3 weeks, 6 weeks. So it's, I say this, doulas are like I feel like I am a mother without the baggage. Right? Not emotional baggage. And we bring back the village. In the past, it's only been 150 years ago that you had a problem. There was a cousin, aunt, a neighbor, a sister. I mean, there was like so many women around you that helped you with that baby, with the diaper, with the little rash, with burping, with whatever it was. And we're gone. The village is gone. We're very isolated in this little apartment. And again, it's about women, it's about the possibility of postpartum depression. It's about having the village back, this little crone that comes in and cooks you a little meal and talks to you and makes you feel like you can do it. You can do it. I'm here to not show you, not tell you, but reaffirm that you're doing a great job.
Yes.
Again, it's not me teaching you, it's me supporting you. Very big difference.
Yeah. Those are really powerful words. You're doing such a good job.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a foundation, and we offer volunteer doulas to foster mothers in the foster care system, women that live in homeless shelters, women that were starting to get into the detention centers. And one of the things that I have learned, especially with those women, is that nobody has ever told them that they're good at anything. So often when I go and visit a mother after the birth in this situation, and she goes, I don't know what I'm doing, the baby's crying all the time, all I say to her is that you're doing a great job. Look, the baby's gaining weight, the baby looks great. I almost don't even want to teach her anything, because if I teach her, she feels like she didn't do something, and we're dealing with really women that have gone through some really, really difficult times. So just to have somebody come in and say, you don't really need me because you're doing great. Look at you. Oh my God, did you see that baby? Look at that baby. Sometimes I spend 2 hours just doing that with my hands on my lap, doing nothing, and then I might come back and teach her a couple of things. But first and foremost, a woman needs to hear that she's got it.
Yeah. And I want to add to that too, in those days when you say you might come back and teach a couple things, that it's really important to ask them what they already know, to teach by asking a question, right? So, they say something that's really maybe limiting or disempowering, and you say, well, what do you think about that? Like, what do you think you should do? And then they say the answer, and like 99% of the time, it's absolutely right,
Exactly. You're so right. You're so right. And again, beautiful journey as a doula, at first, I wanted to teach everything, and today, as you said, the whole idea of being a postpartum doula is to be taught, like, what do you know? What do you think? How would you do it? Oh, I don't know how to bathe my baby. Really? Well, let's see. What would you do if I wasn't here? Oh, wow, you're doing a great job.
I said that to my husband. I just was like, well, it's not, don't drown him. It's like, you got this. But yes, right. Yeah, like teach that we have the answers, right?
Yeah,
teach
totally,
mothers, because we do. Mothers and doulas do, right?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes. And doulas really consider incorporating that postpartum piece into your practice, because it's really, really important. Or network with the other postpartum doulas in your community so you can pass that on, right?
Right.
So let's talk about what's next. How is this journey growing? What are you working on? What are you excited about right now?
Well, I'm excited about so many different things. My journey is growing tremendously. I am about to release a new book called Conversation with the Womb, which is a book really for all women to either prepare or to be in it, or to, women like me that are going through menopause, to really start having a conversation with this incredible organ that we have inside, where we can actually create and put the seeds of our inspiration in our womb, instead of in our mind or in our heart, but in our womb, to create the kind of life that we want. I also have a nonprofit organization that is growing exponentially. Last year we helped about 100 women. This year we're slotted to double or triple that amount of women, and we're also training doulas to be to learn techniques to actually work with that specific community and with the detention community, which is a little bit different. And we're starting to teach we're hoping to teach in detention centers. And I'm also writing a couple of more books.
Wait, rewind. What's the name of your not-for-profit?
It's joinbirthingfoundation.org.
Okay, cool.
And I'm going to be doing Loving the Mother in Bali.
Yes.
This year is going to be amazing, and you're going to be there.
Yes.
And it's going to be New Year's Eve. It's going to be this new celebration where we're going to birth a new self into the birth of a new year.
Right.
We're also going to Europe. So I have a new website coming out on Mother's Day.
Oh, cool.
Design.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very, very exciting and very busy.
Okay, so is your new website also a new URL, or is it the same?
No, it's the same. It's joinbirthing.com.
Okay, cool.
And, we talked about earlier about the burnout of doula, and let me just share with you what I do. I totally feel that as well, and I think that the combination of doing doula work, working on my book, working on the website, doing the foundation, creates enough variety for somebody like me to fight the burnout. Not fight, but to heal the burnout, because I don't want to fight. Self-care is very important. I think that I have a ritual for self-care when I come back from a birth. If I'm not too tired, I like to take a bath and really kind of shed what has happened. I definitely want to pick up the phone and share it with somebody. And, if it's been a really, really difficult birth, it's okay for me to take a full week off. Just learn those self-care tools. Learn. One of the reasons why I became a postpartum doula, for instance, is that I've taken April off completely because the postpartum will pay my bills, but I'm not on call all the time. So just find a rhythm and take care of yourself and surround yourself with doulas. I have a peer review every 2 months. We do a workshop for the foundation every month. So there is not one day that goes by that I'm not surrounded by my sisters, downloading and loving and downloading,
Yeah, because you get, to me that sounds really full, right? Like I was like, wow, you got a lot. But what I see there and what I think you're talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is that when you're giving, you're also receiving, right? So when you're talking about those rhythms and you're, inspired by this part of your work and inspired by this part of your work and feeling a little tired here so you can move back into the inspiration, but you're giving. And like you said, creating a community of like-minded women is where you're going to receive back.
Right. And, we're all different. So for me, hanging out and doing nothing is just not my thing. That's why, to relax, I write a book. Kind of crazy, but that's just me. But, some people might paint, some people might play music, some people might walk, whatever it is. There is no such a thing as one size fits all. But we have to be conscious that burnout is the most common things that doulas experience, and is the number one reason for dropout. In this community. Yeah. And so we really need to, just like we tell our clients to learn who they are and what works for them, we have to learn who we are, what works for us. It's not about giving only. We can help a woman self-respect herself if we don't respect ourselves. There is this myth that a doula should just be this give, and the reality of it, we have to lead by example. Yeah. So you have to take care of yourself financially. You have to take care of yourself physically. I have 2 doulas bags, one for the client and one for myself that I bring with me all the time. I take breaks. I heard a crazy story that this doula was wearing a diaper so that she didn't leave the clients to pee. And like, are we crazy? Yeah. It's like, wait a second. We have to take care of ourselves. We, treat yourself to love in the mother. It's like a leadership workshop. It's like,
if that is you, if you're on the call and that is you, you're going to call Miss Giuditta and myself right now. We're going to straighten you out, okay? So if you just heard that and that is you, connect with us, okay?
What? A diaper? Are you insane?
And I hope you're laughing with us because, of course, I would never want to offend anyone. But
of course.
all in love, only love. And okay, I'm so glad, because I totally skipped over your message to doulas. And now, what about our newer doulas, our inspired and young doulas? I mean, there's doulas, in their early 20s coming into our community. It's so refreshing. So, do you have something for them? A little?
I have a couple of messages. First of all, just don't believe that because you haven't had a child yourself, you cannot be a great doula. Okay? That is just crazy. So some people say, some people will ask you that in the interview and you can answer however you like. But, the most important thing is can you support a woman? The answer is yes. Are you dedicated? The answer is yes. So that is not important. Number 2, if you can at all, get yourself to a marketing workshop of sorts, because you have to learn marketing. You can make a good living becoming a doula and being a doula. Very good living, but you need the skills. You need the skills to know how to sell yourself. I hear too many times people who say, I'm terrible at marketing. Well, if you start with that premise, you know, the universe only says you're right and you're not going to make it. So, and second of all, if I could just give you some unsolicited advice, I'd say spend more time listening than talking. And that usually is how you get your clients. People need and want and desire to be listened to, not informed, especially during an interview.
Yeah, that's really, really, really good advice. Thank you.
Yes.
I need to write that down too. Yeah, you know, I'm saying I'm doing this event for doulas, but it's for me, really.
Well, we always said every book I've written is like, this is what you gotta do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
So,
this has been so lovely. Thank you so much for being a part of DOULA-LA and for all of the amazing work that you're doing. I give you my thanks.
Oh, thank you for being here, and I'm going to see you in Bali.
Yes, you are. And anyone else, check it out, lovingthemother.com, right?
Yes.
Yeah, lovingthemother.com. Make sure, we'd love to see you there as well. So, with that, I say goodbye and happy World Doula Week.
Yes, and happy equinox.
Yes, spring is here.
Spring is here.